So I have an idea and I want to share it with you. It's specifically for people who are new to social media marketing agency world, right? Or you're just starting an agency, maybe you've just started one, basically a beginner. I'm going to share an idea with you, and boy, oh boy, do I wish I knew this when I was starting my first agency. I would have made a lot more money, been a lot more successful. So I wanted to learn from my mistakes today. I'm going to explain something. My name's Charlie Morgan. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I built and scaled an agency to 7 figures, and I currently basically run a coaching business doing around multi 7 figures. We're looking to get to 8 figures. This YouTube channel exists to document the journey, teach you stuff I learn, but most importantly to help you guys make client acquisition easy so you can grow your businesses. I have no 997 course. Right, very simple stuff. It's mindset work we're going to do today. And by the way, if you can't sit through a 10-minute video, if your attention span is so fucked, you can't sit and watch someone trying to help you for 10 minutes, you probably shouldn't even bother trying to start a business. Because as I tell you what, starting a business is way harder than watching a 10-minute video. So close your tabs, get rid of everything. This is not a sales pitch. I'm going to explain something. Strength is the main thing. I'm going to explain what this means. So what you have to realize is that success loves strength, and pain is your main form of currency. Pain is your ticket to success. And this is all going to sound weird, it's going to sound strange, but I'm going to explain it, it'll make sense. What you have to realize is that starting a marketing agency is really hard. And I want you to realize this. It is not a walk in the park. It's not something that you can just sort of put together and then you hire a media buyer. It's not what the gurus say it is. It's not what the person you bought the course from say it is. It's not a 997 walk in the park, right? It takes time, effort, energy, blood, sweat, tears, and all sorts of other weird bodily fluids, right? Probably doesn't do that, but it takes all sorts of things to make it work. It's very difficult. And the reason it's hard is because it's going to stretch you and it's going to test you. So what I like to see when I see someone starting a business is it's like this. You want to imagine the universe is up here, right? The universe, or God, the universe, the market, whatever, religious entity you value, right? Or whatever spiritual entity you value. The market or the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is up here, right? You are down here when you start a business. It will watch you. So when you start your business, when you make that decision, I am going to start a business, it opens its eye and it sort of starts to observe you. And it gets to decide whether or not you're successful. And how it decides that is dependent on whether or not you observe it. So you have to imagine that you're being constantly watched, fucking Big Brother style. You're being constantly watched spiritually, metaphorically, right? And the thing watching you, the be all end all market, God, whatever it is, every minute of every day is making a decision. Does this person deserve to be successful? And I can tell you what it uses to make those decisions is personal strength and pain. So the most important lesson I can give you when starting a business is that the more pain you are in, the faster you're growing personally, the more you deserve to be successful, the stronger your likelihood of being successful. This thing up here, whatever it is, when it's looking at you, it's trying to decide, does this person actually deserve it? Because if you're sitting there, if you say I want to start a marketing agency, and then the next day you're scrolling through TikTok, procrastinating outreach, and then you do 5 cold calls, and then you go and eat lunch and decide that's enough work for the morning. Objectively, do you really deserve to be successful at that point? Probably not, right? The more pain you can put yourself through, and the more strength you can build, and the only way you really build strength as an individual or someone starting a business is by facing as much pain as possible. And the good news is that starting a marketing agency is painful, right? It's difficult, it takes time, it takes effort. So I wanted to share this with you because I wish I knew it, because I would do everything I could to avoid the pain. And that's why, to be fair, it didn't take me a huge amount of time to build an agency. But had I actually faced the pain, I would have got there twice as fast. So what you want to do in your business is this real-time advice. It's what I wish I'd done, what I do now in my business, is isolate the action or the activity that you can perform in your business that takes the most out of you. What is the most painful, terrifying thing that you hate doing, and then just do that. And it's probably going to be cold outreach or sales calls. Those are the 2 things. It's almost always going to be those 2 things. If you're scared of building a website, what the hell's going on, right? But those 2 things, if you do them, and if you do the thing that is most painful, you start to build personal strength. And then what starts to happen is this thing up here, the market, God, the universe, it starts to look at you and it starts to think, all right, this guy's got some metal. And basically all you really have to do is do the most painful thing every single day for a year. And I like to see it it's like a currency. You exchange pain for success. And I think that's probably the most true thing in terms of business success. You exchange suffering for success. So the more pain you put yourself through and the more opportunities you take to do things you don't want to do that hurt you, not physically. I'm not telling you to wake up and smack your ankle against a metal pole because it hurts. I'm talking about psychological pain of doing things you don't want to do because they make you uncomfortable. The more of that you sit in, the more leverage you have to go to the universe and say, hey mate, you can see I've been suffering pretty bloody hard every day. I'm burned out, I'm exhausted. Part of me doesn't want to carry on, but every day I continue because I know it's going to be worth it. Do you reckon I can have my 10 grand a month now? Then it'll probably look at you and be like, yeah, but you did kind of spend like 1-2 hours a day screen time, and then you kept partying and being an idiot. You know what? I'll give you like 4 grand a month. It's kind of like that. That's obviously not the actual exchange that happens, but spiritually you can sort of see how that works, right? The more you sacrifice and the more you put yourself through, the more buying power you have towards success. So if you want to be successful, it really is just as simple as find out what hurts and just do that as much as you can. It probably is going to be outreach. And if you want to know what that is, if you're like, well, is it really outreach? Just look at what you procrastinate or look at what you try to do the least of. Probably going to be cold outreach. It's probably going to be creating content, getting your face out there, getting rejected, people telling you to fuck off. And also the thing people don't like about outreach at the beginning is because they don't know how to sell and they don't know how to deliver. So by doing outreach, they have to sell, they have to deliver, they have to basically reveal their incompetency. And their ego, this is a huge thing, their ego doesn't like that. It's like, well, I know that I'm not going to be great at service delivery. I also know I'm probably going to suck at sales. So the ego is then like subconsciously driving the behavior away from the action that would reveal its incompetency. It's very straightforward stuff. It's taken me 7 years, I think, to probably put this together. But now that I see it, it's clear as day. I know that you've probably got into SMMA. You might not be expecting it to be easy. It's impossible to expect how hard it's actually going to be. And the key to this emotional thing is like, in terms of your positive emotion towards your business, you want to have positive emotion. You want to expect that you can be successful, but you have to understand that the route to that is basically very bloody and it's very painful. So when you're looking at your business and your expectations of your business and how quickly it's going to, this is a big sign of someone who's deluded. Is like they think they can get 10 grand a month in like 2 months or 3 months. Or they think that like, you know, all they've got to do is like open up Loom, open up Lemlist, hire a media buyer, hire a sales rep. Bob's your uncle, I'm going to go and sit on a beach in Malaga and have a laptop lifestyle after 6 to 12. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. It requires serious pain, right? And if you don't expect that and you actually face the reality of it and you're like, fuck, this isn't what I was expecting, then you quit. And that's how people quit. Quitters are fundamentally weak, but I think the reason it happens a lot of the time is because there's such a massive contrast between what they're expecting and what it's actually like, right? If your expectations of your business are like, yeah, it's going to be easy, it's going to be so straightforward, when you actually step off of that, you're going to fall really far. So the easier you expect it to be, because it's hard, right? This is the baseline of difficulty, right? For the actual, production of the business, right? It's difficult to do. But if you expect it to be easy and then you're met with the reality it's hard, you're going to wander off this cliff. And the higher expectation is, the further you have to fall, the further you fall, the harder you break your legs, the more likely you are to quit. So I just want this message not to discourage you from trying to start a business, but just to align your expectations with the true nature of reality. Because if you truly expect it to be painful, then you're going to face it properly. So I'll leave you with this little story, right? So there was a guy called James Stockdale. He's a US soldier in Vietnam, I think in 1962, and he was captured as a prisoner of war, right? His name was James Stockdale. This is a real story, you can go look it up. And I want you to understand this because every time you're starting your business and you don't want to do the work, just remember this story. He basically was captured, I think, in Hanoi, in Vietnam in 1962, if I'm not mistaken, but he basically was tortured, maimed, nearly killed, starved to death for like, I think a couple of years at least. And he was put in leg stocks, which is where they put you in wooden stocks. You can't move your legs basically for like weeks on end. Torture, basically, like pure hell on earth suffering. He came up with a really interesting quote. It's called the Stockdale paradox, right? And it basically says that the optimists die first. Because he was in there with other prisoners of war, right? There were other people that were held by the Vietnamese as prisoners of war, right? What he observed is that the guys that thought, oh, it's all going to be over soon, we're going to get rescued, the US is going to win the war, we'll be out in the next couple of months, or we'll be out in the next week. The people that were really optimistic about the situation were the ones that lost all hope when it didn't come to reality. And this is such an important model to have if you want to start a business, because it's the same thing if you hope that it's going to work and it doesn't work as fast as you expect it. It's all about timeline. Because in the long term, if you suffer through enough pain and enough suffering in doing the right things, you're going to get to the place you want to be. But James Stockdale saw this and he was pessimistic and he said, look, I'm going to be in here for as long as God intends for me to be here. I could be out tomorrow, but it's just as likely that I'm not going to be out for 10 years. I might never get out. I could be in this hellhole forever. He was a realist. He understood that he He needed to see the situation for what it truly was and not be blinded by hope. And this happened with Viktor Frankl in the Holocaust as well. He observed this in other Jewish people in the Holocaust, obviously absolute tragedy, right? But he saw the same thing. It was the guys that thought the war will be over, we'll be rescued in a month, it's all going to be over soon. When the month rolled around and they weren't released, the crush of that hope crushed their spirit, and that's why he thought they died. He said most people in the Holocaust, obviously, like a lot of them died of starvation and, just exhaustion and stuff. But he said the main thing that killed them was a lack of hope, which is an interesting scenario. And I think the same thing applies to business. So that's a bit of a morbid story to end on. But I want you to remember it, because if you're hoping it's going to be easy, and if you're hoping that you're going to be out of all the pain in the next couple of months, think again, mate, because if you think like that and you're not, then you're probably going to have your hopes crushed and you'll quit. So anyway, I don't want to pitch you something, but if you do need help getting clients, you can click the first link in the description. I don't care if you click it or not. It's a video of me explaining how we can help you get clients. I really don't care. It's not a course. It's not a 997 thing. It's just systems. But anyway, that aside, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. If you liked it, you can press like. And you can also comment anything below. I'd be interested to hear about your journey. But trust me, from someone who knows this is a very important thing. If you want more information on this topic, you can go and watch the video that I uploaded. It's called "This Video Will Make or Break Your SMMA." The video itself is called "Trial by Fire." It's in our mindset module of our paid program. It's about 2.5 to 3 hours long, and it explains the nature of pain and how to deal with it. It's basically a 2-hour extension of this video. It's way more advanced. Anyway, that's everything from me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.